Hi, my name is Ambrosia Belgar, and welcome to Hot Topics on the Roundtable with Ambrosia. Uh, I come to you basically on the recommendation of a dear friend of mine, Kente, who I've known for quite some time in a virtual space, but who has actually been one of my mentors when it comes to podcasting. I want to say hello to Shannon. I see you over there. What's up, girl? How you doing?
Oh,
So my thing though is that we get a chance to come on platforms like this and be able to really share what is on our minds. We get a chance to be able to actually not necessarily look for what I call mutual admiration societies, but what we do is get a chance to see opinions from all walks of life. So today I want to talk about hot topics, and man, there is no shortage this week. Shannon, let me ask you a question. And actually, Kente, have you heard about the young lady that decided that she was going to roll up on this guy? I guess it was in front of a mall or something. And she was with her friends. You know, they were pumping her up, talking about, yeah, get him, get him. And so she ran up on him once, and then he pushed her back, and she ran up on him again, and he basically just decked her, just punched her.
are you talking about the
And
51-year-old guy?
yes, yeah,
Yeah.
Didn't see it. Didn't see it. But I'm
yeah.
laughing. I'm laughing, so I'm probably not no good for this topic.
Well, Shannon, let me say this though. You know, I'm a parent. I have a daughter who has a disability, so I'm not really good at parenting or knowing about how to parent a typical child. However, I have no idea why this young girl thought she was so bold and bad that she was going to roll up on this man, regardless of race. I'm not going to even bring race in as a factor. Here, you in North Carolina. Thank you so much for putting that up there. You're in North Carolina and you decide to roll up and please roll that beautiful bean footage for me. Look at this. Now they're pushing this man around. Look at this little girl. She's the little girl that's in the I think it's a little girl that's in the no, watch this, watch this. Push back. Watch she comes back again. Boom. Okay. Yeah. I got so many thoughts about that. Now initially as a mother I was horrified and I was actually taking her side. However, you have to look at the wider picture. As we say in the hood, why come she thought she was big and bad enough to roll up on a adult like that?
Honey, and I'm not a parent, but I've worked enough with children. First of all, you are absolutely right. Why are you gonna step to somebody who may not have a sense to mind his manners and not get you back?
Right.
That's what you get.
Okay,
to put it out there like that, that's what you get.
Before you guys continue, I want to play another video for you.
Okay. What on earth? Okay, are these two girls getting ready to fight?
No, it's a guy.
Hi.
A guy fighting his girl.
No.
Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm trying to figure out what's going on here.
Okay, that's the Kareem Hunt video. That's the Kareem Hunt, who is a football player who lost his livelihood because this woman tried to fight him and called him the N-word and all of that stuff. And they made him into the worst monster ever. And no, they said that all these women's groups stood up and said there's no reason to ever hit a woman, and that no matter what she did, she was in the right.
See, that's so inappropriate. You want to be a frog and jump. Don't be surprised.
Where's all these groups at?
Down there, so I didn't get a chance to welcome you to the show.
Where's all these groups at? Where's all these people who say, "Oh, the 11-year-old girl got what she deserved"? Why is it that?
11?
Yeah, she's 11 years old.
It wasn't so much that she got what she deserved. My question is, why did she feel comfortable jumping into it? See, here's the thing about it. I'm 55 years old. You know what? I am proud of each day that my God has given me. However, here's what I don't understand. I grew up in a world where you didn't disrespect your elders, regardless of who that person was. You don't run up on somebody like that. You don't even approach or confront an adult like that. So all of this, boasted up for the gram. Shannon, come on, you already know what this was about. They were posting up for the gram. They thought this was going to be a world star moment.
But this culture, and don't get me wrong, there are some of them that actually have some sense, and sense don't grow in everybody's garden correctly. Right. But the culture of individuals who egg this on, I mean, it's no different from that bus fight where that driver was like, "Look, what you're not gonna keep doing is getting in my face." And don't get me wrong, I don't condone violence on. However, caveat, it's only gonna be so much talking that you're gonna do, right? Child, adult, or otherwise. And yes, he maybe shouldn't have pushed her as hard as he did or whatever he did, but in that moment, sometimes restraint gets thrown out the window. And I am not making an excuse for him, but right. I'm also not condemning. Well, because it's a circle of women around him, or children rather around him. I mean, they could have easily set his butt on fire and for the gram, as you put it, because folks are crazy. And so, and like Patricia said, North Carolina is an open carry state. She better be glad all she got was knocked out.
I agree.
I feel like this is a fight or flight moment. He pushed her away.
And she had every right to walk away.
And then she came right back at him. And in some ways, I don't think he was like, okay, well, if you come back at me again, I'm going to hit you. She was coming at him full speed. And that, to me, kicked him into fight or flight. And
at the end of the day, she went to his fist. It wasn't the other way around. You came to me. My fist just happened to be up. Sorry.
So again, back to the thing, I'm not going to roll up on a man. This little girl was 11 years old. Now, Kente, since you're going to be my I'm not going to call you my weather guy, but you can be my video guy. I'm getting ready to send you a couple of links. One is to the next one I want to discuss, but the other one has to do with the young lady. Do you know the young lady that got hit at the McDonald's, where the guy kind of grabbed her by her uniform? I want to talk about that one as well. And I want to also get a chance to, first of all, take a deep breath and thank everybody who is on the sidelines. I see Tony, Leah, thank you so much for joining us. You had a great show. Patricia, thank you for being here as well. I actually like Leah to join in while you playing. She hears me. Don't play with me. I'm dead serious. You better grab that spot, girl. Grab that spot. But here, I'm going to send the link to you in Messenger.
No, I got the already.
But no, not the one that I'm getting ready to give you. This one is even more horrifying. This was from a police investigated treatment of child caught on camera at a Lubbock, Texas daycare. The video has been making its round on social media. It shows what appears to be a child being manhandled by a daycare employee. I'm going to go ahead and give him that one as well.
What, in Messenger? Facebook Messenger?
Yeah, I'm going to give it to you in Messenger now. One moment. But my thing, though, is when we get back to talking about the young lady who felt that she was going to get frogging and jump at that man, that man is probably going to get a reduced charge of assault. But as far as I'm concerned, she should have never jumped at him. There has to be some sort of repercussion because when you look at how she fell that close to that post. He could have killed her. She could have hit her head on the post and died.
Doesn't North Carolina have something like Stand Your Ground?
I don't know. I'm in Ohio.
See, those are the things that are... Those are the things that matter. And it's weird because what you were just talking about, the thing that I think we're missing out of a couple of these is we have a culture right now that on the one hand says, hey, do the most dramatic, scary, sensational stuff so you can be 15 minutes of fame across social media. But then we also have this, like we saw yesterday at that march in Washington, we have this weird, odd, just terrible, pervasive culture of people hating on each other for no reason.
No, it's there.
Yeah.
Oh, let me check.
You just have to push it because it says they're covering it, but they're not taking it down.
Oh, so it's going to be really small, tiny?
No, not that I think of. But my thing is that I'll actually place it in the I'll put it in the room here, and everybody can look at it. There's the video right there.
Okay, you got to uncover the video.
There it is. Right, you have to uncover it. Look at this. This little child. I'm not quite sure if this child is drugged. But
no, ma'am.
He's holding this child by the hair.
Stop. No, ma'am.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. No, but you understand. This child. Look at how she's manhandling this child.
She's for real.
They have given these children some sort of narcotic, and now because that little girl wouldn't eat, she was grabbing her by her braids.
Olivia, what are you doing on the floor? She ugly too.
Okay. Oh yeah, she's saying that's what she's saying. She's ugly.
No, ma'am. Eat your food.
Dang.
See, that couldn't have been my child. Ain't no way.
It ain't even my child. Look, let me go meet up with Shakita and them, and we just gonna show up at this chick house.
Right. And but see, that's again, when we talk about children of color, when we talk about the maltreatment of them, it takes the same technology that we're afraid of to capture moments like this, to handle that.
Yeah.
It's
a
great point.
Wait a minute. Who's afraid of the technology?
Well, some people are.
I mean, a lot of people are.
Well, everybody that was saying
They don't.
Alexa's like listening to every single thing you say. Alexa has also been used in a court of law to prove that people have done things that are super highly illegal. So,
right.
I mean, it's a weird line to walk. I
really
actually
is.
see it. It's a tough one. It's a really tough one.
Look, Alexa ain't playing with y'all. She works for the feds.
It used to be that if you asked Alexa if she worked for the NSA, she would immediately turn off. that was freaky, actually.
She's like, "Oh man, y'all know about me."
Right, right. Strange.
You're really saying who
happened?
That's what I'm saying.
But on a lighter note, I want to move on to something else. On a lighter note, I did read that Ice Cube and let me make sure because I just had it on here. Ice Cube and Mr. We're right here. LL Cool J are actually teaming up to buy 22 television networks. I am really excited about that. That was coming from TV1 TV. And my thing, though, is this. Hopefully they do better at trying to buy networks than the ill-fated try of Mr. Bill Cosby to try to buy NBC. I'm hoping that these will be networks that we can actually channel and create a base of urban broadcasting. I think there has to be a balance. There's nothing wrong with what is, I'm not going to say there's nothing wrong with what is out there. We have to have stations that are able to give us a broader look at what is out there. This is not about marginalization. It is about representation. Yeah. Wouldn't you say?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
So that was one of the things that, again, my name, the name of my show, rather, is called The Roundtable with Ambrosia. I am on a video platform called Second Life, and I'm not only a virtual live jazz singer, but I also do a series of talk shows. As a matter of fact, I'm actually rebooting my 2011 show, which Mr. Kente was on, by the way, and that's how we actually met. We've come full circle. He was on my show, and now I'm on his show, or he's on my show again. But yeah, something like that. He's very, very special to me. He is very, very special to me.
I am special.
Tell him to tell you the story about the shower again, because he likes that story. Just throwing that out there.
What story?
Story about the shower.
What happened? Okay. I got to
No,
hear
nothing.
No, you know.
Just a funny
See,
story.
it's too
just
late now.
funny.
What's the story, Kente? Spill the beans.
No. It's just this awesome shower that I like a lot. That man, I feel like I'm saying it for the 18th time. People are gonna really think I am obsessed with it. It's this awesome shower that I had. Yeah, it sounds silly when I say it out loud.
Okay, yeah, all right. Let me ask you a question, everybody. How old is too old to have a baby? Just
egg shrivel up and die.
50.
You know what?
If you want to have a baby at 63, mind your business. I mean, you got to raise them.
Well, I have a question. The reason I mention that is because this Indian woman is actually in her 70s and became a first-time mother. I can't even imagine. I'm trying to get a hip replacement and I got to get up at 3 a.m. feedings. No, that's not going to happen. I mean, I can't even think. Yeah.
You think that's some people's life, and you think that's some people's life goal and dream. So, I mean, now don't get me wrong. You and I may not want that role. I'm with you. Like, I'm about to pass on my 70-year-old sagging boob to a kid. Like, I need you to go this bottle.
Right.
But some people have been dying to have kids their whole entire life.
No, I totally understand that.
Now, when she's almost 90, talking about what college you going to, baby, I can't look. You can't stay here no more. It's so divide. It's so the culture gap, the generational gap. It's so huge. Like, I talk about my uncle today, and he's 64? He'll be 64 this year. And his son is about to graduate from high school. And I said, you're going to be the one in the audience looking like somebody's grandpa.
Yeah.
But, you know, men, there's more of a stigma for women to have children past a certain age than it is for men. For men, it's almost like a rite of passage. It's like, oh, look at him. He's a sugar daddy. But
for women, there's health issues associated
at that late of age.
Because what do they say? After 33 or 34, your ovaries and eggs start to do things like they scramble and.
Well, you know what, and I can speak to that on a serious level. I had my daughter at 31, and my daughter has cerebral palsy, but that could be because I too have cerebral palsy. But cerebral palsy is not a genetic issue. It just means that cerebral means brain, palsy means lack of oxygen, and it's lack of oxygen either before, during, or after the birth cycle. Now, it has affected us in different ways. Like on my left side, I have a little dexterity issue. But with her, she has a combination of things like cerebral palsy, delayed myelination, sensory integration issues. She's nonverbal. Developmentally, she's around 3 years old, but she can walk. And I've been blessed to have her. But that may not have come because of my advanced age. There are people that are in their 40s and 50s. Look at what's the little child from the Real Housewives of Atlanta who just had a baby?
Was it Nene?
Or the Kenya Moore, or whatever her married name is now. But Kenya just had a baby, and you can have a typical baby. I'm not going to call. There's no such thing as normal. You can have a typical baby at any age, but there are going to be factors that may come up with that.
Well,
so that's just a little.
But there's a socioeconomic issue with this too, because people who have children later in life and have healthy, successful births tend to be people that can afford it a bit more. They can afford good prenatal care. They can afford the right kinds of doctors if something isn't going right. I mean, there are a whole lot of factors. People that are living in lower socioeconomic groups, they're going to have problems. And so that is definitely an issue.
But that could be it for any age. You could have a teen that doesn't have the right prenatal care and may have something happen with the child.
You're right, but
can we be honest though? If Kenya Moore is your mother,
risks escalate with age, so you're more likely to have different kinds of problems as you age. And if you have really a good team around you, then there's an awful lot that you could do. If you don't have a good team around you and you don't have a lot of money, it is going to be a bit more difficult.
More that I agree with. I absolutely agree with that. I absolutely.
And what you say, Kenya Moore being the mama?
The kid got problems just because Kenya Moore is their mother. So you can't be normal with Kenya Moore as your mama.
Yeah, well, here's my
Ain't
thing.
nobody doing that about her.
I don't. My thing is that if people like them, I love them. I'm not going to worry about that. I don't watch them. I can't. I have a hard time watching women who have possibly 3 times my gross yearly salary fight each other over stuff like the wrong table napkin or something like that. They throwing bottles at each other over, my Gucci bag looks better than your Gucci bag. I can't. That just I'm not feeling.
You know what reality show I wish came back?
What?
Is the Celebrity Apprentice. You know why?
Why?
Because that means he wouldn't be in the White House. He'd be on. Let's bring that show back. Let's get him another job.
Wow. Well, before I lose my point, we were talking about having kids. And speaking of children, here in my city, one of the teens actually called the police because her father took away her cell phone. And I thought to myself,
okay.
Yeah, okay. Good luck with that. I bought it, but you're going to tell the police that I stole the phone from you. And they basically told her, you need to listen to your parents, and they didn't even write up the charge. Here's my issue with that. In certain communities, the first thing that would be said is that you got to get to the phone first.
Yeah.
You can call you can try to get to the phone first. Call 911 if you want to. You may make it to the 9 and the 1, but that last one is going to cost you. And I'm not advocating child abuse.
That's not whipping your kid ain't child abuse.
It's not leaving them for 24 hours is.
If whipping your kid is child abuse, my mother get the electric chair. Okay.
And again, but here's interestingly enough, we talked about that last night, Kente, on the show, is that the dynamics of discipline and how we can discipline our children has changed, and the perception of it. When we got spanked back in the day, I truly believe this. When you have a child, there's nothing wrong with what I call age-appropriate discipline. I think growing up, I don't think every child needs to be spanked. I think I may have gotten spanked times in my life. However, there was a progression. There was the house shoe, there was the fly swatter, there was the switch, there was the belt. Now, I've heard of kids getting hit with Hot Wheel tracks and extension cords and all kinds of things. That I feel leans towards abuse. I have if you're stopping your child,
what if they're running up on
you? in what area code? Look. Isn't
it kind of funny though? Isn't it funny that when you were a kid, you were so afraid of spankings, and now a lot of adults, when they get older, they actually like the spanking. So
okay. we're gonna stay on track. I'm gonna need Mr. BDSM over there to have a seat for a second. My goodness, did he not just go over into a whole different lane? I'm gonna need
I
to stay.
learned from hanging out with Shannon. I didn't know nothing about that stuff until this is Shannon.
Hey, don't knock it.
There's Leah. Thank you for joining us. I had my screen minimized looking for some other things that I wanted to talk about today. I want to thank Leah for really enlightening me to what she's doing in terms of the outreach with comedy. What I mentioned over in the comments earlier is that I lived in California for quite some time when I was younger, and my dad was actually a general manager at the Comedy Store. So I actually grew up around a lot of comedians back in the day. Now, I really didn't get to see them very often because by the time I'd get there in the day, you got to realize these people were asleep. They've been up until 3-4 o'clock in the morning. They used to have an acting work. They had a kids actors workshop there. I went to Camp Hollywoodland up in the Hollywood Hills. I went with the kids, the two twins that played Tabitha, which is showing my age, but Tabitha on Bewitched. So those are the kind of things that I remember. I come from a family that has had some exposure in the industry. But my thing, though, is this. For those of you that are really reaching out to those that need, and that kind of outreach, that kind of expression of spirit, people that are homeless have already been compromised. And to be able to have people come together and be able to share their stories, it allows them to flourish. It allows them to get them out of their circumstance. And I just appreciate for what you're doing.
Oh yeah, that's
so
awesome.
It's totally like it comes with so much joy and so many great people like you and Kente and those comedians that show up and the people that we serve. It's amazing. It's an amazing journey. I am so thankful for the people. Thank you for bringing it up and mentioning it.
Oh, no, not at all. That's what I am. Kente knows I am a natural networker. I do this in world. Again, we talked about Second Life, but I do this. I love bringing like-minded people together. I truly believe that water seeks its own level. And what we do is that we try to find those we ride those waves. Okay, we ride those waves.
Can I be nosy real quick, Leah?
Sure.
What's in the bucket?
Every
time I see it, I be wanting to ask, like, is that for that?
There's nothing in the bucket. It's supposed to be for ice. Like, it's supposed to be like some like super bar. Like
Okay. It's so official. That's like an official bucket.
See, what she's not telling us, that was left over from New Year's Eve.
There
was some lemon in there. There was some. But no, I totally understand, and I like that lighting, Shannon. That lighting you've got up under your bookshelf, that is so cool.
It's
I like
Christmas
that.
chic.
See, that's the Pinterest stuff that you want to do, but if you've ever seen that show, yep, nailed it. It's not gonna look like that. I'm just letting you know right now. Half the books are gonna fall off because I haven't put the bracket on right. The lights
this is my bed.
They were actually not supposed to be in this country, and they're going to catch the house on fire. I'm just saying. I know with me, DIY is like, girl, no. What is you doing? What is you doing?
I do not want to die by books. Okay, books falling on my head, and above the books are vinyl records, so I would be jacked up. Okay.
Do you ladies like guys that are good with their hands?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. In all kinds of areas.
Is that a trick question? Yeah, really.
It is. I don't know why y'all going for the banana in the tailpipe. So y'all just jumped in like, yeah, Kente, yeah, we like men. Kente, where are you going with that question?
I'm just saying,
You came out of nowhere. That's like stuff. That dude that's like hanging on the corner, looking around like, hey, how you doing? And it's like, hi, how are you? Kente, stop that.
I'll be honest. I used to have this friend that I knew loved to do
Danny.
House projects and stuff. And I used to MacGyver something on purpose just so that I could invite this friend over and he would fix it. He'd go, oh, no, you can't do it like that. And every time I had a racket going.
What?
Yep. I got more stuff out of that guy just by putting stuff together and saying, hey, doesn't this look great? I mean, I feel like Nailed It is my spirit animal. I am completely right there. I am all of those failures right there. And I look at it and go, wow, this looks great.
Well, you know what? I'm glad we're talking about men and what they like or what have you. I have a question for you, Kente. Gillette just put out a commercial that talked about can me be, creating the better man. And there's been some backlash from some men who feel like they're being maliciously maligned, that it's another way for feminists to try to water down the male psyche and the impact of a masculine, what have you. Have you seen the ad? And if you have, how do you feel about it?
Yeah, I've seen the ad and I've seen the outrage by it. And I mean, it might be true. That might be the case. But at the end of the day, if your psyche falls apart because of a stupid ad, then you wasn't about that life anyway. So, one thing I can't stand, to be honest with you, are men that whine. That is like one of the worst things. Is to just see a whining ass dude. Oh, the girls don't like me. They don't treat me good. Oh, I hate that. That is so. I can understand why no woman messes with you, dude. You are, it's annoying. I can understand why it's annoying to women. Guys who just whine about, all of that kind of stuff. Yeah, they're probably telling the truth. It's probably, but I mean, it is what it is.
Well, let me ask you a question, ladies. There is a perception that if you are a single mother and you're raising a male child, you cannot raise that male child to be masculine. I disagree with that premise. How do you all feel about
it? As a single mom with 2 male kids,
okay,
I understand why people would think that. But I also think it is my job as the mom to facilitate other male role models for my kid to be around.
Absolutely.
I'm not going to be a male role model. I'm not. I have feminine energy. I will always have feminine energy. But it is my job as the mom to make sure that I am exposing my kids to the best of the best in terms of that male role model. And also, there's something else that goes along with this, right? Just because you raise your kids to be feeling, caring, empathetic people doesn't mean that you take away from doesn't mean that you somehow degrade them in terms of their ability to function as men. It means that you temper the experience of being a man with something that is sustainable. That I don't think that both of my male kids are very male. So one of them climbs trees and is an arborist for a living right now. They both have sort of a genuine expression of, what is quote unquote typically male. But that didn't happen by accident. That happened because they were exposed to a lot of really, powerful, strong influences as they grew up. And yet they can both sit down at the kitchen table and have really thoughtful and good, empathetic conversations with me that don't necessarily just revolve around, like you were saying before about the Gillette commercial, hey, everybody's out to get me.
Can I say something real quick about Jen? Jen is a board certified Tolkien nerd, so she raised her kids to be wizards and warlocks and all of that. So come on, Jen. Just tell the truth, Jen.
Well,
why you got to bring that into it?
I want to speak on that and take it to the next level. We talk about single mothers raising boys, but here's a question for you. When when Father's Day comes around, there's a whole segment of women who feel like they want to jump up and say, well, I am mother and father to my child. I tell them right away, I'm not my child's father.
Yeah.
My father is not her life. I'm the best mother I can be, but I can never be her father. How do you all feel about that?
I had a conversation with my mother about this. I was much younger. And of course, she was coming from a place of the tired single woman mother syndrome. So I got it. But like, well, why didn't you give me a card for Father's Day? I was like, because you're not my father. I was like, you are my mother who has had to be my mother 365 days of the year. But just like that's his responsibility, that was your responsibility. So I honor you 365 days out of the year. Now, my dad's piss poor history still does not negate the fact that he's my father. He did not raise me. He did not take care of me. He did not provide for me. But there are still lessons in his lesser than value that I learned from him that gives him credibility because a part of my DNA is him. And so I only had to say that one time. Because I told my mother, I will always honor you. I will always put you first. but you are not, nor will you ever be put in a role as being honored on Father's Day every day. And if you need one day that doesn't belong to you to acknowledge that your worth is set in stone in my heart, because it is, then that's a problem for me. Because I don't go.
Did you understand how you felt though?
Well, my mother always says she does not know where she got me from. So
hilarious.
I'm
with your mom.
I thought she was gonna throw something at me because
I'm with her mama on that.
Like the Lord has delivered me from a lot of things, but my mouth just ain't been one of them. So when I said it, I did say it with love and tact, but I said it in firmness because it would be no different if my father had raised me and said, "Why didn't you get me a car for Mother's Day?" Now, most men aren't going to say that.
Right.
However, caveat, if that were the comment, I would be like, "Look, because you ain't my mama, homie. Like, I love you."
Right. But I do want to point out that Tony Davis on the messages has mentioned that his mother was a single mother and raised. Well, Tony says, my mother was a single mother and she raised my older brother and I. She made sure we had all kinds of influences in our lives. And that's what we've basically been saying. There has to be a balance. I think that not only should you balance your child as a single parent with other role models, I think you also should widen your child's experiences on a wider grand scale, even in a two-parent family home. You know, show your children different interests, understand what your child is interested in and cultivate that. Expose them to different kinds of music. Kente and I would get into conversations. I was a Casey Kasem kid. I love listening to pop radio. My influences are from Brooke Benton to Johnny Cash to Aerosmith to Cream to Jimi Hendrix. There's a wide variety there, which makes me a better artist when I sing. However, I think today's children don't get a chance to understand just the majesty of music that is out there to them, because we've got artists now that sound like in a T, in a mono low, and I'm like, what was that?
You know, just as a purely aside anecdote, I had my oldest son had pulled me aside one day. He's unbelievably gifted musician. He has been ever since he's been really young, and he plays a lot by ear. And he pulled me aside one day completely out of the blue and said, "Mom, I have to tell you that I am so thankful that you exposed me to classical music, that you took me to the theater, that you gave me a bridge by which to cross over into all these other music genres, because while I like to play a particular type of contemporary rock, he understands that all music sort of broadens the musician's toolbox in terms of what they're able to deliver." And so even when you don't think that giving your kids a whole lot of experiences may stick or be something of value, you don't know. And that's the whole point. The whole point is if you give your kids enough experiences, something will stick.
I agree. Yeah. I absolutely agree. That is a great comment. Now, Leah, I have a question for you. Do you have children? Do you have children that you perhaps mentor? I've mentioned this last night with Kente and on a previous show. How do you parent children in the age of social media? And that always gets to me because we've got so many influences out there. You've got so many children that feel so much pressure. And it's not the same thing when you were kids, because then you'd only have the neighborhood bullies. But now you've got a whole crop. You could have over 500 people on somebody's page that are, basically jumping in emotionally on you over something that they don't even know you. But everybody wants to be part of that tag team. How do you respond to that as a life coach?
As a life coach, I respond to that. I do actually work with kids on that level of trying to calibrate them to their true organic selves, because where it begins with them is they have to look in the mirror and be happy with what they see. And I try to let them know that no matter what they put out and present, whether they're coming in there, the Sasha Fierce Beyonce or whatever level that they deem to be high and great, there's always going to be someone that's going to say that was awful, that was terrible, that sucked, that was ugly. And you have to be calibrated to who you truly are and be happy with who you are. And so what I really do is I start from the child's just inner hearts and real true desire of who they really are. And I get them to a point to where they really feel that they are more than enough and that they can really believe that about themselves, because there's so many great people that don't believe that they're great. So I think once they can just be acknowledged and sit in that they're great, that the social media and things coming at them kind of rolls off their back. And just like how we were talking in the last segment, kind of sometimes a heckler can be there to fuel you. So I also give them that perspective, is that when someone's coming for you in that manner too, is just it's a part of the process. How many people come across you? It's a numbers game. You're gonna have a certain amount of numbers of people that don't rock with your flavor, and that's okay. That's not what they're presenting your flavor for. You're presenting your flavor just as you and who you are. So once they can really acknowledge and love themselves, I think it's much easier for them to take that any negative and or positive and all of it and still stay themselves.
I'm glad you used the analogy about ice cream, because, some people like vanilla, some people like chocolate, some people like strawberry. I'm butter pecan. I'm a little nutty, but I go down smooth. Hey, I just thought of that. Thank you very much. But Kente, go ahead.
No,
I know you get ready to say something.
No. Well, you are nutty. I agree. But there was something Jen said that I really wanted to expand on. Is you were talking about how you made sure that your sons had male influences. How were you able to do that? Were they relatives? Were they men you just knew?
A couple things. One, definitely my relatives were pretty big influences. But two, I was really not afraid to use Big Brothers, Big Sisters, and pulled in some people who really wanted to mentor some kids. And I think the thing is, when you're a single mom, sometimes you can get super prideful. It's not like I'm faulting people for it. I understand where it comes from. I felt it myself too. But I think there's also a point at which you have to say, hey, there's a whole lot of resources out here for me to be able to use, and I should use them. I should pull in the people that want to be a part of this, because you don't know who's going to be awesome. But the other thing that I think in terms of male influence that was really helpful just in general is getting your kids interested in all kinds of community stuff. So if you belong to a church, go to the church, do stuff on community days, get as big. It's weird because when you raise kids and you're a single parent, so a lot of times we end up struggling with the day-to-day stuff. And if you're running ragged all the time and you're not sort of paying attention to the enrichment features on the edge, it can be really difficult to see where that even fits in. I mean, you're rushing home to make dinner. Why does my kid need some kind of special class at the end of the day that I'm already struggling for? But these things are really important when you're a single parent, and especially I think with, maybe I shouldn't say more so, but it is really important to give your kids a varied view of both different kinds of the way that genders respond to each other, but also just in terms of having positive role models out there, so you're not always afraid to be different than whoever your parent is. Because when you only have one parent, you only have one choice. Does that make sense?
Oh, it
makes perfect sense.
Oh, actually, yeah, that's really nice.
Danny mentioned something in the comments, and I just want to read that to you. It says there are a lot of people that had parents that try to live through their children and are always disappointed by their kids tapping into their true selves. I believe that. I believe that sometimes parents think it's going to be an extension of them, and they're not really understanding that you are your own being, and you're going to be you're going to be creating, you're going to grow out of all of your experiences. Leah, would you not say that when you stop learning, you stop growing?
Oh, yes, definitely agree with that. Learn every day, every moment, every second. Take away.
Right. How many of you all here, Jen, you sound like the typical neighborhood mom. Do you have more kids at your house from the neighborhood or vice versa?
Oh no, my house is always the party house.
Right.
Everybody comes over to watch movies. Everybody. In fact, at one point when my daughter was in the early parts of high school, the kids used to come over for like it was really strange, but it was kind of like a question and answers night where they felt so awesome about being around my kids that they would ask the craziest questions that they didn't feel like they could ask their own parents. And I would like to think that other parents are out there doing the same thing. I'm not maybe going to agree with everything, but the fact that you get a lot of different viewpoints in life is so important. So, yeah.
Well, that's a really good thing because I know I'm the neighbor. I love being the neighborhood mom, but I was partially raised by my grandmother. And when we talk about the influences in your life, I think one of the best things that you can teach your child is empathy for others. We're getting ready to wrap up, not in about 7 minutes.
No. Actually, 2 minutes because we got to transition.
Oh, well, 2 minutes. There it is. So I get a chance to go ahead and not only thank everybody for joining us for my first time. I'm a little nervous, but I feel like I've gotten my feet wet now. I want to thank Leah and Jen and Shannon for, hold it down. Team girlfriend, come on now. And I want to thank
yeah, you did great.
Kente himself. I'm not going to leave him out. He is the head guru in Mucky Muck. I appreciate that. Those that have been listening in, Danny and everybody, and who's Tony and everybody, please add me. My name is Ambrosia K. Belgar. I used to be Ambrosia Kamala, but I have virtually gotten married in the game, and who is my real life fiance. So I'm very excited about that as well. You can find me on Facebook on my brand for my singing, which is Serenades by Ambrosia, or with my show, The Round Table with Ambrosia. But this may not be the last time you see me on podcasts because I miss this. I miss being able to reach out and each one of us be able to share and network. So again, everybody, thank you so much for coming. Kente, I want everybody to get vocal and do the damn thing with indie.radio.org. Is that correct?
Yes, right. And
okay.
Can I say something?
Absolutely.
Earlier, I got to correct something that you said earlier about I was like a mentor to you. This lady was the mentor. I'm telling you, her show was amazing. I looked up to her as a podcaster, and I wanted to be like her when I grew up. So I just wanted to. I
hear feedback. I'm not sure why.
Okay, it was Jen. No, it wasn't Jen. No, that's weird. Our feedback, but no, I wanted to be like her when I grew up. So she's definitely my inspiration. So, and she's amazing at what she does. And talking about she's nervous, she's done these things a million times. She don't get nervous. So
I do. But you know what? When you've got good people around you and you get that great energy, Miss Leah, I need your information. Miss Shannon, Jen, we're going to get together, ladies. We're going to do this again. Trust and believe. We're going to definitely have it. We're going to get some more testosterone and have them call in as well because I like to have the balance. The word of the day is balance. But everybody, thank you so much for coming. It is the Roundtable with Ambrosia, and I'm signing off in 3, 2, and 1.